Well, thank you very much indeed for all being here. I'm Lauren Taylor, and welcome to this session, which is Meeting the Control. And we're joined by Emma Tennant, who's the controller of UKTV. Today, Emma oversees 10 separate brands: Dave, Watch, Gold, Alibi, Eden, Good Food, Home, Drama, Yesterday, and Really. And she's a controller with the largest portfolio in the industry, and she's had some incredible successes since taking over the role in 2011. Well, last year she declared commissioning ambitions for the coming year as bigger than Henry VIII's codpiece. This session is a chance to get to know her, to find out what she thinks worked in the last year and what didn't, her views on the industry at large, and what she's looking forward to, and also what she wants from producers on her channels in the coming year. We'll also talk to her, of course, about the results of the 2014 commissioning survey. Hello, Emma.
Hello.
So as the controller of UKTV's output, what is your role there, and what role do you have in terms of the actual commissioning?
Well, I oversee all the editorial across all the channels, so I'm responsible for everything that goes out on air editorially. So we work very closely with the commissioning teams. I have a team of general managers who work very closely with the commissioning teams to select and choose the best output for the channels.
And what's it like being across, I mean, it is, as you mentioned, obviously 10 channels. What's it like being across such a diverse portfolio?
It's great. I mean, there's always something new to worry about, keeping 10 balls in the air at once, but it's really exciting, and having the opportunity to work, as you say, across such a diverse range of content is great.
Do they all have their own personalities, do you think?
Yes, yes, and I think it's important that the channels have their own personalities. They need to do that in order to stand out in such a crowded marketplace.
Do you have a favourite child?
No, I can't possibly have a favourite child.
Okay. Well, we want to move on and talk about the commissioning survey. There's a lot to celebrate for UKTV this year, isn't there? But on that commissioning survey, there are a few areas where people have been critical. Some of it is on being unclear, asking too much of unpaid development, and high-pitched commission ratio. Was this disappointing reading for you and your team, given the kind of success you've had this year?
I think some of it was surprising. Some of it was less so. I think, you know, we're very keen to work with as many people as we possibly can. So I'm really pleased to see that out of the people that were surveyed, we spoke to over 50% of them in terms of getting ideas. But that's a number that I expect to see going up over the next year, as well as the ratio of how many we commissioned going up. In terms of our commissioning process, I think, you know, we actually did our own survey mid to late last year around with some of the people that we've worked with over the previous year, to get some feedback ourselves on our processes, because we wanted to try and make them best possible. We're waiting for more feedback from this survey as well, which will feed into that. And I think we've already made some significant changes. So working with us now is, I think, very different from how it was even 6 months ago. So we now have a commissioning charter, which is on our corporate website. We have some clear timeframes in which we'd like to respond to people, which are laid out.
And have you achieved some of those?
Yes, and we're working.
Just one thing I wanted to pick up on is that one of the things that people have said is that actually that when they pitch to you, that you're some of the most polite and respectful of the network. So, but they've obviously been critical of the process. Do you think that the process is at fault rather than the people who are running it? Do you think that you need to change your process?
I think there's been some issues with the process, and as I said, we're working on that. We've also beefed up our commissioning team, both in terms of commissioners, production manager, and legal resource. So I think that obviously it takes time to filter through, but I think this time next year we'll see a lot better scores in terms of process. Do
you think your ambitions of entertainment on a terrestrial-sized budget are to blame here?
No, I don't think so. You know, that as the survey shows, a lot of people who are working with us say that our commissioning team are some of the most respectful and polite that they deal with, and also in terms of one of the scores we got on development was that we have one of the lowest scores in terms of unhelpful or over too much excessive feedback in terms of development, which shows that we really give creative freedom as well.
Okay, so just to move on, in Edinburgh last year you said, as we mentioned, that commissioning was going to be as big as Henry VIII's codpiece. Have the last 12 months lived up to expectations? Talk us through the UKTV's performance.
Yes, I mean, we've had a fantastic last 12 months. Last year, as a network, we grew 5%. Dave itself grew by 20% last year. This year, in the first 6 months, in terms of commercial impacts, we've grown by 18% in a market where the majority of the broadcast market's down around 2 to 3%. So, and we've led the way with some really exciting content. Obviously we secured the coup of getting the rights for the final night of Monty Python on Gold, which was a sort of landmark piece of TV history and has been the biggest performing show that Gold's ever shown. And we launched Drama last year, which has performed above expectations, and we managed to get that out into the market 9 months before Encore launched, which was great.
And in terms of, you've sort of highlighted some of the kind of the successes. Who do you think your main competitors are? Are they catching up, or are they not doing as well as you? How do you see the competition at the moment?
Well, we compete with everybody in the market, really, including the terrestrials, and different channels have different competitor sets, but we're competing with the terrestrials for ideas and talent all the time. So.
And what about, I mean, there's sort of declining television audiences. What do you have to do to retain your audiences or to even try and grow them?
You have to keep offering them fresh, exciting content that they can't get anywhere else. And also, I think, have a clarity around the channels so that they can really understand what they can expect from those channels.
And is there a connective tissue between the channels and in terms of the tone of what you offer on all of them?
I think that we are an entertainment network, so the connective tissue, if you like, is that we provide entertaining shows that are engaging to those viewers. Some of the channels are more niche than others, but also I think the other thing is that we take risks. We look to innovate and do risky commissions that you wouldn't expect to see elsewhere.
And which channels? I mean, you mentioned obviously some of the content you have had, but which would you say are the star performers?
Well, obviously, as I said, Dave was 20% up year on year, and we've been increasing our investment on Dave. In fact, in 2015, our commissioning budget on Dave's going to go up by 70%. There's been some stellar performances on that channel. Really also has had a fantastic year. Alibi's performing above. I mean, I could go through quite a lot of them. We've been very lucky in the last year. We're performing well as a network.
Okay. Well, as you know, in these sessions, they're going to be time for asking questions at the end. But we've also this year got the festival app, and you can submit questions. There it is on the screen. Through that, details of how to download it on there. And in homage to one of Dave's biggest shows, we've cleverly rebranded this section. Emma Tennant, Freewheeling. There you are.
Oh, my face has gone on.
So do submit questions through that. But we've also, you've got some kind of incredibly super fans who follow your channels, who are sort of totally committed to you. So we've actually asked them to send in some questions via tweet. We've got the first one here from Dora Somerville, and she was so desperate to speak to you that she couldn't contain herself to 140 characters. So she says, with so much choice for audiences, both online and on TV, do you think that targeted and curated programming is, wait for it, the future for most linear TV channels?
Well, I think, we've been doing very well in that space, and as I say, the performance is doing very well. Obviously, our linear channels are doing well, but we've just launched UKTV Play as well, which is our non-linear offering, where we, rather than having their channel branded on-demand services, we've now packaged them under a one-button option of UKTV Play, which allows us to guide viewers around that content more, cross-promote more effectively. And we've already seen in the few weeks since launch that the usage has doubled on the previous individual platforms. So we're very, very excited about that as well.
Well, we'll talk a bit more about the UKTV Play later on, but in the meantime, there's just one more of these tweets from, I think that's Neil O'Driscoll. Yes, please. Are there any plans to have an HD version of Gold, he says?
Not currently, but we never write anything off.
Okay, fair enough. The next one is from Clint Neild, and he says, what great US shows do you plan on securing for Watch?
Well, we've had quite a number that we've already secured. So Resurrection started this week. We've got Crisis coming next year, and The Strain is coming in the autumn, which has already been commissioned for a second series, and we're very excited about that. I can't talk about anything further. We're negotiating at the moment.
Okay, being very cool. We might try to press you on that later. But in the meantime, let's have a quick review of the year. And I think we'd like to start with what you've described as your channel-defining programme, which is Krakenori. So why is that so emblematic of UKTV and Dave?
I think it really demonstrates how far Dave has developed as a channel. We've got some of the very best, both performing and writing talent on the series. I mean, there's Jack Dee there and Sue Perkins. We had Warwick Davis, Vic Reeves, and Rick Mail in his final television performance. And they're all coming up in the next series. It's also a new scripted piece, which again is a new area for Dave that we're continuing to develop. And I think it really shows and also just the level of talent and writing really shows how far Dave's come.
Is it a challenge to attract that kind of level of talent? I mean, how key is it to those kind of shows, do you think?
I think it's really key to bring high-level talent into a channel like Dave. A format like Krakenori works very well in that there's the commitment for each talent isn't too great because it's each one has sort of 15-minute story, so the time commitment is not too great. So that helps bring those people in.
And you mentioned briefly there Rick Mail, and unfortunately he died before this aired. Was there a conversation at all about pulling it?
We discussed it with his family. They were very keen for us to show it, and we're really honoured to be showing it later this autumn. I think it really shows his comedy genius and his wit, so we're really thrilled to be showing it later this year.
And on that issue of talent, we've got the highest rated new commission on Dave last year was Dave Gorman, Modern Life is Goodish. How did that series come about?
We've wanted to do something with Dave Gorman for quite a long time, and so we've been in discussions with him for a while, and it was really just finding the best way to sort of showcase his comedy moving forward, and obviously that's been recommissioned, and we've got more coming this autumn. When you say
so it's recommissioned, and do you think that's that kind of returnable formatted show is the future? And is there not a danger that if you keep recommissioning things, that they become formulaic and people sort of lose interest? I think you need to have a balance of shows that you want to recommission and bring back, and the shows have a natural life cycle, and then you have fresh shows coming in. I mean, we've Alan Davis, As Yet Untitled, which we showed it earlier this year during the World Cup. We're just announcing today that we've recommissioned that for double the order for next year, so we'll be doing 10 episodes of that. And it's great to have a pool of things that we're bringing back, but we've also got great new shows that will be coming as well, which I know we're going to talk about some of them a bit later. Okay, just on briefly on that, in terms of the producers, do they need to think returnable, to use the kind of jargon? I think it's always good to think returnable, yeah. But also, we are keen for more content. As I said, the Dave budget's going up by 70% next year, so we're out there looking for more shows. And you don't get much bigger than Monty Python, which you alluded to earlier. You've selected Monty Python Live as your What Was I Thinking moment. We'll come to that in a moment, but let's have a quick look. Okay, so this was a massive success for you in ratings terms, and you had some marketing stunts and so on to promote it. So why a parrot? A 50-foot parrot on the South Bank. So why then is this a What Was I Thinking moment? Is it not this is a dead cert moment? I think the What Was I Thinking element of it is when we first talked about it and trying to go after the rights, I think most people would not have counted us as the people that would have secured them. And I think the ambition is, in a sense, to What Was I Thinking. I think one of the key things that
want people to take away from today is that the key word for UKTV really is ambition. Ambition is really key for us. We're ambitious in the types of shows we want to do, in the risks we want to take, and in the rights that we'll go after.
Yeah. And on that specifically, I mean, who was bidding against you? How did you secure it? What was the thing that made you get it rather than the others?
Well, we knew we had terrestrial and other very strong competition in the market to get it. I think where we were able to talk to the Pythons in a positive way is our ability to, they really wanted to think of this as a national event, as a live event that could happen all at the same moment, both on stage at the O2, in cinemas, and for viewers at home on TV. We were able to do that. We're also able to do more programming with them that will be coming in the autumn, so we've got more Python stuff coming up. So we could really make a big event out of this and celebrate it in the way that they really wanted to celebrate.
And so those bits that you've just mentioned, that's new, isn't it? What's coming out of those? Can you get a bit more detail about when
we've got 5 1-hours coming up in the autumn, which is a sort of clip show elements around the Pythons and the sort of history of the Pythons.
The history of the Pythons, or the making of this programme at all, or?
No, there's obviously we did some surround programming on the night as well, live with Dara O'Brien. So that, you know, we were able to make a bigger event of it as well.
And you were there on the night.
Yeah.
What did you make it? Were you frightened?
It was a bit nerve-wracking, but it's so exciting. And I think when it was over and the show had just finished, we, you know, as a team, we turned to each other, and the first thing we said was, what can we do next? What's the next big thing we can do? And I think that's the great thing about UKTV. As I said, we're ambitious to do more, and we're always wanting to push the boundaries.
Just that there were a few complaints sort of both ways on it. We've got some tweets, I think, here. One which is that ruined by all the censoring, what was the point of playing it live? And we have another one which is, could the broadcast have been delayed so they could have had the penis song uncensored?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been one complaint that Ofcom were investigating about, unfortunately, one swear word that did sneak through our compliance. It was an ad-libbed, unexpected ad-libbed word. I think on the final night they are tending to ad-lib a little bit more than we were slightly expecting. There have been, I think, around 34 complaints about the censoring of the swearing. Unfortunately, when you have the penis song 15 minutes into the show and we go live at 7:30, it's quite difficult to get all the language in, especially all the words for vagina, without causing offence. So we did have to censor, but we did show it the next night at 9 o'clock with uncensored. So it's a balance.
Just very briefly, if you can, are you allowed to tell us what the price tag was for all this?
I'm afraid we don't talk about.
Okay, I thought not.
Exact costs.
And now I just want to see, we've got a bit of your Sky Planner, so you were watching it that night, so we can see that. Talk us through some of the other things that are on there.
What else we got? Well, my husband's to blame for some of it. I think Match the Day and James May is probably my husband there. Utopia, I still haven't watched. But I Sky Plussed it. I've got to catch up on that. Dance Mums is my eldest daughter. I'm afraid she's become obsessed with Dance Mums. And Resurrection and Rizzoli and Ours are both the new series of Rizzoli and Ours on Alibi for us, and Resurrection's new on Watch for us. I love a bit of crime drama, so it's one of my it's my pleasure at home.
And is there any content on other channels that you're perhaps jealous of?
I think there's always things that you like, but I'm really happy with what we've got on our channels.
Okay, well, so we'll move from what was a fairly unpredictable performance we mentioned there with Monty Python to to a rather different kind of unpredictability, and this is Ross Noble. This is the clip that you consider one of your riskiest commissions of the year, so let's take a look at that. So why was this risky in your view?
Well, I think the key in that clip is, as you can see, that team isn't doing anything because they don't know where they're going and they don't know what they're going to do, because it really is that it gets dictated by the tweets. And Returnable is not the sort of talent that you can sort of fit in nicely into a format and expect him to behave as you wanted. So the format was developed with very much with his style of comedy in mind, that we could really just go with him.
Was it unpredictable though? I mean, was there a danger that if the audience or the people tweeting or suggesting what he's going to do, could it end up being just not funny?
It could, yes. It's very unpredictable, which is why it was really risky to do. But the fantastic production team at North One and Ian Coyle in our commissioning team who was across it, and it's a great show, and we're really proud of it.
And that element of unpredictability or the unexpected, and there seems to be a commissioning trend within Dave in the last 12 months. There's Returnable, Freewheeling, Alan Davies, As Yet Untitled, 24 Hours to Go Broke. Shows where the central premise seems to be unplanned, unscripted, untested. Was that a deliberate commissioning strategy, or did it just evolve in that way?
I think it's evolved, but we're deliberately trying to broaden the style of shows that we're doing on Dave. So that was the deliberate strategy, and also work with a really broad range of talent, which we've been able to do.
That you can only really attract the talent if you let them do what they want to do.
Passion projects are an important part. We did that with Dara with School of Hard Sums. It's something he's very passionate about. Ross Noble and Dave Gorman, they have a certain style of comedy, and you need to work with them closely to really maximise the benefit of that.
One of those that we mentioned was those 24 Hours to Go Broke. On paper, it seemed like a sort of perfect fit for Dave, but it launched 20% down on slot average. Why do you think it didn't quite hit the mark?
That's something we're looking at. I think Factor is it's a hard nut to crack, and it's something we've got to keep going at. It did allow us to bring a great range of talent onto the schedule, which we're really pleased about. And I think there are elements of the show that work really well, but obviously it didn't really hit the mark we'd really like it to.
And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you had Magic, which has worked for you. Dynamo, obviously an incredible success. That would be difficult for any network to replicate, really. What about the Happenings and The Incredible Mr. Goodwin? That they were two shows that seemed to try to capitalise on that genre, but they didn't seem to work. Why do you think that was?
I think The Happenings was a really exciting and risky project. Trying to convince a whole community that something magical, supernatural was happening within their community was a really difficult thing to do, and I think the show was really great. We had to actually move our scheduling of that show due to some competitors' scheduling, so I think we didn't have as good a schedule as we'd have liked for it.
What about something like You, Me and Them? I mean, one critic declared it tediously safe. It had a bit of mixed reception. In spite of that, you recommissioned it. Well, why is that?
Yeah, we really believe in that show, and I'm very proud of it. I think, it's commissioned for Gold, which is a very mainstream comedy channel. We wanted to do a sitcom. Anthony Head and Eve Miles are excellent, and we've got some great casting coming in for the next series as well, with some guest spots. So,
is there something specific you're looking for the scripted sitcom area?
We're still aiming for Gold. We are looking, and for Dave, we're looking at more scripted projects. So that is an area to look at for us.
Okay, let me take a few questions now from our special Emma Tennant Freewheeling app. Let's have a look here. I think we've got you've commissioned Most Wanted. Do you believe in ghosts?
Do I believe in ghosts? No.
And you've said that Dave has gone 20% up. How do you measure that?
That's in terms of share of commercial impacts.
Okay. Just one more, if we can. So what do you most hate in treatments and pitches?
Where you can see they've taken another channel's name out and put your own back in.
Does that happen?
It has happened before.
Or just Tipex?
Yeah, or somebody's sent it with a covering letter to the wrong, I think this will really work for somebody else's channel.
Okay. So I want to move on to the brand identity. Your portfolio is no stranger to a refresh and a rebrand. I think name changes alone Each channel in the UKTV portfolio has been renamed on average 3 times in the last decade.
I'm sure that's...
How important is brand identity?
Brand identity is incredibly important, and I think it's really important that the marketing and the content of the channel work very closely together, and so we do that. And I think we refresh, so we don't just rename, we refresh. So Dave had a refresh earlier this year, so the identity was just sort of updated, moving, if you like, from the home of witty banter to somewhere that adds wit to your world.
Yeah. Why do you think it need, it's had a relaunch since in 2007. Why do you think it did need the latest rebrand?
Well, because the content had changed, we developed a lot, and so we really needed to make sure that the identity of the channel and the way that we're speaking to our audiences really reflects that and keeps up to date with the movement and development of the content.
And can we look out for any future refreshes?
We never write them off. We're always looking at how we can keep the channels relevant to the audiences. So Gold has just had a refresh, so that's the old logo now. So it's got a new logo to, again, reflect the way the channel's moving.
And you don't think there's danger of sort of confusion with the audience as to what you actually stand for?
No, the research that we've shown is that our channels are really clearly identified in the marketplace, and there's a real understanding about what the channels signify, and I think that's really important, because not only do we need to differentiate ourselves in such a crowded marketplace, but we need to help the audience. Having a clear identity helps them navigate through the content, and also gives them the right framework or lens through which to watch that content.
And I know that you consider your portfolio to be sort of challenging Channel 5's portfolio on like-for-like performance. Explain how you see your profile and UKTV's place in the TV landscape.
Well, I mean, UKTV, as I said, has grown 25% in the last 3 years. We now regularly beat, as a network, Channel 5's network, and we've got our eyes on Channel 4 in the future. So we're very ambitious to keep growing.
And how does that fit in with UKTV's Director of Commissioning, Richard Watcham, announced a refocusing of the strategy with the original content only premiering on the big 3, so Dave, Watch and Gold, and then repeats airing on a suitable channel later. Is this a strategy of entertainment first and lifestyle second?
We need to, obviously being a commercial network, we need to prioritise our spend where we think we can make the biggest impact, both in terms of audiences and commercial impact. So we're focusing more on Dave, Watch and Gold, but that does not mean we're not commissioning in some lifestyle areas. We've just recommissioned Chocky Wocky Doodah Starstruck. So we are looking at some more lifestyle projects, but they will need more of a entertainment emphasis. We also do quite a lot of co-production, where we may not be the primary funder, but we're doing top-up funding. We've done a lot of these on Yesterday, which has been very successful, and we still work in AFP as well. So we do work with Red Bull and Tourist Board Australia on something for good food recently. And
you mentioned that there is some crossover, but if you don't commission for some of the lifestyle channels, what happens to them? Do they risk dying off?
No, they're working very successfully and leading their genre. So we're still, very supportive of those genres. And
what's the danger with the repositioning of Sky's EPG repositioning? Does that mean that is that part of the reason behind the change of focus? Do you think?
No, we've been working closely with Sky on that. They've been collaborating with us on that. We believe that the channels will still perform strongly in the entertainment space. They've got a very loyal following, and in fact, being in entertainment may bring more viewers to them that wouldn't previously have gone into the lifestyle area of the EPG.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly take some more questions from the app here, and there's one here which is which comedian would you most like to see on Dave?
Oh God.
Name your talent.
I don't know. I'm having a mental blank now. We've got so many that have come on recently. It's hard to
It's hard to think of any others.
Think of any others, but I'm sure Richard will probably give me a
And what about any more magic planned?
Not directly in the same vein as Dynamo currently, but we're always looking out for new ideas and fresh talent. So if there's people that we need to see, then please bring them to us.
And there's also one question here, which is how important is diversity on screen to UKTV?
It's very important. I think it's been acknowledged at Edinburgh generally this year that we all have work to do, and across the broadcasting industry on diversity, and that's something that we'll be looking to do alongside any of the other broadcasters. Okay,
that's great. Let's move on now to the year ahead. And 2014 has already been a big year of news for the industry. And I want to get some of your thoughts on the headlines. For instance, the BBC announcing that they're going to tear up production quotas and liberate in-house teams to create a kind of super indie. What do you think? I mean, you've got a unique relationship, haven't you, with BBC Worldwide? So you're probably better placed than anyone to comment on this. What are your thoughts?
I mean, we've actually worked with BBC in-house production last year. We did Yes Prime Minister with them, which was a great experience. And I think the industry generally wants the best ideas. So I can't see that people wouldn't commission the BBC as if it were an indie if they bought great ideas. I think one of the issues will be whether I suppose they can be as efficient in their costings given their size as some of the current indies, but that's something they've got, they need to work out in time.
And there have also been lots of channel launches. There's ITVB soon to be, TLC, Lifetime. You already have 10 channels. Any plans to have any more?
Never say never. But I'm happy with the portfolio at 10 at the moment. I think it's quite enough to manage. But we'll see what opportunities are out there.
It's also becoming more and more competitive, isn't it? It's new channels launching, viewing habits changing. Is pay TV just too crowded now, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think, we can see by the success of our channels that if you can focus on the right audiences and providing those clear propositions for people, that you can still have great success.
And on that issue of online stuff, so with BBC Three going online, do you think that you might have plans at some point to have a 100% video on demand catalogue?
We've got, as I said, UKTV Play, which has now launched, and we're already seeing great success with the uptake of that. At the moment, it's just on iOS, but it will be launching on other platforms later this year. We'll be premiering some content on there, and also we're going to be commissioning some pilots for there that then the audience can feed back, and we'll hopefully generate a series for linear.
Can you tell us any sneak preview of what the content is?
No, it's something we're in development with at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. And so do you think that the programming investment is going to continue to rise year on year?
Yeah, well, our intention is to continue to invest heavily in programming. We've upped our budgets to over 120 million now, and we're continuing to be ambitious in that area. And
how much is for original commissions?
We don't break it out into original. It's a programming budget of 120 million.
Wouldn't it be helpful in terms of transparency for people who are trying to pitch to you to know roughly what they're looking at?
Well, it varies depending on the project, because we don't have tariffs per type of program or style of program. So we work with production companies on a case-by-case basis, looking at what particular projects need in terms of their production budgets, and we work closely with them to match the right budget to the project. But as we've said before, we will match terrestrial level budgets for the projects that need it, and we have done and will continue to do that.
One question that's coming through here on the app is Dave relies on Top Gear, and where do you stand on the Clarkson issue?
We will follow the BBC's lead in terms of the discussions that they have with Jeremy Clarkson. I would now say that Dave doesn't necessarily rely on Top Gear. That wouldn't be in my...
And what about game shows? There's a question here which is, would you consider commissioning a game show?
Well, one of the We've done a thing for Watch for this autumn called Format Lab, where we've got 5 pilots of different fact entertainment shows coming. One of those is a game show called 7 Envelopes. Yes, it's an area that we're trialling, and we're keen to see how it will work.
One more here just from the app is, what can we expect Watch's first drama series to air? Not sure I understand that question, but anyway.
I think it could be, we talked last year about Legion, which we've put money into, which is being developed by Tony Jordan's production company, and we're still hopeful to have that on air in the next 12 to 18 months.
And one more question here from the app is what would be your dream collaboration for Singing in the Rainforest?
Well, we've got Las Vegas already, they've already filmed, and there's other names under discussion. I don't really want to say.
But can you tell us a little bit about Singing in the Rainforest?
Yes, so Singing in the Rainforest is sort of a new format for us, and it's a successful British band going out to a tribe somewhere that has a strong tradition of music but have had very little contact with the West, and both collaborating on a fresh piece of music that at the end of the show the audience can download.
Sounds interesting. So, and just on an overall kind of image of the commissioning for you, it seems that there's a sense that on viewers per pound spent basis, UKTV is actually doing well at punching above its weight. Why do you think that is?
As I said, I think it's because we try to innovate and take risks. We like to make shows that feel different, say something about our channels, and just take risk and are ambitious.
Okay, well, let's on the issue of taking a chance with something new. Let's have a quick look at this, and then we'll talk through what this is. So that's called Off the Record. Talk us through what that is and how that's going to work.
Yes, so we were really excited about this coming up next year. So it's a sort of pseudo-reality show about the Hoff, who is a bit down on his luck, and his career's sort of waning. So he's come to the UK to try to resurrect his career. Actually, when this was part of the pilot that from which we commissioned the show, this is a reading through for a film about the Hoff. The advert went out for this reading, and some of the people that came to audition didn't actually realise that it was a spoof or anything. So they came to play it as actors that were taking it very seriously. And David Hasselhoff turned up. Fortunately, it's a bit before this, and they're like, "Oh," he's like, "Why are you here?" And they're like, "Why are you here?" It's like, so it's this lovely mix between sort of reality and scripted, and I think it's going to be really exciting.
We'll be looking out for that. So you've got a strategy for taking well-known faces and finding a unique vehicle for them. Would you be open to new talent at all?
Yes, we are open to new talent. I think on the Alan Davies show, one of the great things about that show as well is that it helps us bring forward newer talent as well as having established names. So we are looking at ways we can develop new talent. I think also, the pilots that we may look at on the UKTV play is another area where we could look at new talent.
So in terms of the producers who might be out there listening to you, what specifically do you want for each of your channels? What are your needs? I mean, slots, the budgets, talk us through some of the nitty-gritty.
For Watch, we're looking for series for 9 and 10 o'clock. The viewers on Watch are sort of 25 to 44. They're very TV savvy, so they need shows that really stand out from the crowd, that feel different. The sorts of formats we've talked about are, like Singing in the Rainforest, or we announced Was My Talented this year. They're sort of quite innovative and groundbreaking. So also we're looking to increase the talent pool on Watch, so it would be great to bring some new talent to the channel, and big PRable style shows. On Dave, as I said, there's the big talent, passion pieces. We're looking to develop in fact-end as well as in scripted. And on Gold, we sort of look in 3 areas, both ways to celebrate the archive, big, iconic comedy talent, you know, very much like we did with the Pythons, and also looking for new format and scripted ideas.
And in terms of who people should and how the process works, who should the producers approach to pitch at UKTV?
So the best way to pitch, if you can go on the UKTV website, and there's all the detail there in the sort of commissioning area of the website, but it's best to send stuff through to the commissioning team. So Richard Watcham and his team always copy in Sharifa Mansour, who is like our enforcer. So she will ensure that everything gets logged, that we adhere to the timeframes that we've set down and respond to people. And you know, give us a prod if we're being slow. Do let us know, and then the commissioning team work through the ideas, filter them, bring them to the programming teams, and then we work on getting them to greenlight from there. We also have separate budgets set aside for development, so we can help fund development as well to get the projects to greenlight.
And last year you talked about the commissioning ambition being larger than Henry VIII's codpiece. How would you characterise it for next year?
I think it's bigger than the Hoff's ego.
And with developments, how many of those do you think will go to series?
It's difficult to tell. We've developed quite a few things. I mean, You, Me and Them was something that we developed. Catherine Mills' Mind Games, which is coming up in the autumn on Watch as well, is also something that we've developed successfully. It just varies on the project.
So you've kind of hinted at it somewhat in your answers, but you don't tend to commission specifically for a channel or a genre. You kind of look at both, do you, and then decide where it fits best, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, generally people, because our channels are quite distinct and clear, people will know what channel they think something will work on, and we'll work with them on honing something to make it tonally right for a channel. But I think in each channel they're quite distinct needs.
Okay, and there's one little tweet that I want to put to you from Red Dwarf Crichton. When the Smeg are you going to confirm Red Dwarf 11?
As soon as we possibly can.
Oh, go on, you can't put him out of his misery. Okay, and I'm also going to put to you a few more of these questions from the app here. Would you rebrand a mature Dave as David?
No, I think we're happy with Dave.
Okay. And I think I'm just going to take some questions actually from the floor now, if that's possible. Anybody keen to ask? If you are, then do say your name and we'll provide you with a microphone. And while we do that, we're just going to have a quick look at more questions on here. So what shows are you jealous of from your competitors?
Oh, that's hard, really. I have to have a think about that, I'm afraid.
Okay, let's have a quick question from the floor, unless you've come up with an answer.
No, I'm just sorry.
No, don't worry. Okay, anybody keen to ask a question out there? Goodness me, come on, there we are.
My name's Naomi Benson, I work at Darlow Smithson Productions. Could you give us a little bit more of a steer about Watch? So you've mentioned innovative and groundbreaking and shows that stand out, and Singing the Rainforest sounds absolutely amazing. Could you just sort of, are there specific genres, are there...
No, I mean, obviously, so in Format Lab, we've got some Fact-Ent shows that we're doing, and also as a game show, as I said. So I think Fact-Ent's a really important area that we're looking for Shoulder Peak, and also something that could play at 9 o'clock. And also some more broader entertainment shows, so for 9 and 10 o'clock. So that's really what we're looking for, to appeal to the sort of pretty gender neutral 25 to 44, if anything, very slightly female, but really it's a couple's watch, if you like. We don't want to be having too many arguments about the remote.
Okay, if we've got any more questions, I'll take one now. have a quick think about it, and we'll ask you one more here from the app while you all think about your questions. And someone said, what happened to the giant parrot?
Oh, the giant parrot isn't completely dead. We actually did decapitate it, though. The head of it is now in our new offices, which we moved into 3 weeks ago. So it had to be, apparently had to be taken apart, put into 4 pieces, and then put back together again and repainted. But it is now on the 5th floor of our new offices.
Oh, so people can come and look at it
when
when they pitch.
It's taller
not
than
to be
me.
intimidated.
So yeah, even the head's taller than me. It's quite a sight.
Any more from the floor at all? Nope. Okay, one more here from the app. So how will Watch fare without Dynamo?
I mean, Dynamo's been a standout show for us, and I think would be for any network. But you know, we were, and I think as a network we're doing very well, and Watch will continue to do well. I think as Dynamo said, you always want to leave the stage before the audience. So we felt it was the right time to end the franchise, but obviously we're in discussion about what next.
Just very briefly, there's one more here at the top of the, just come in on the app. What are your plans for your lifestyle channels, really good food and home? I know you've answered some of that, but is there something that people can come away with as a sort of ideas that they need to pitch for those channels?
Well, we'll continue to grow them. As I said, we've done some AFP on good food recently. We did John Torrode's Australia with the Australian Tourist Board, so we're looking for more ideas. Shocky Wocky Doodah will repeat on good food. Really has grown by about 18% year on year and continues to develop. So we're really, and it's focusing on the reality area, and also we've got the paranormal element in really as well. The new series of Most Haunted premiered last night and did very well. So we're looking at ways we can continue to grow those channels.
And because obviously the concern is that they're kind of being sidelined slightly. So what would the producers who used to pitch stuff for those shows, can they be found a home elsewhere?
Yes, as I said earlier, if we can find lifestyle shows that we can inject a sort of more entertainment feel into, then we're still looking to develop those. And you know, we're happy to work on ways to bring extra funding, co-produce or AFP to bring new and exclusive shows there. We also acquire new exclusive shows for those channels, so we're very much looking to develop them. And
just as we end the session, I want you to kind of sum up in 1 minute specifically what you want people to bring you in the next year, the producers.
I think innovative, challenging and ambitious ideas, that's the key for us.
And can you give them any clues about the size of the budget?
As big as it needs to be to make the show that you want to make. So
okay.
You know, that's just bring us exciting, ambitious ideas. That's what we want.
Okay, well that plea, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed to Emma, and to you, the audience, for coming along, the festival organisers and of course the sponsors of the session broadcast. Thanks very much, everybody.